Good evening. Welcome to SHOWstudio's Head to Head with me, Mimma Vigleziou, and my favorite host, Colin
McDowell. Good evening.
Good evening, Colin.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Well, we've survived. We've seen all the collections now, and we're still able to draw breath and actually take
Exactly. We're a bit more tired than usual.
and speak, so it's not too bad.
It's the end of a very interesting,
I agree.
for various reasons,
Yes.
season. And we need to talk a little bit about Paris because we talked about the other cities, but then, of course, we can mix it up. And I would like to start by talking about Miu Miu because I think that Miu had one of the strongest seasons in the past years. And she ended Paris with an extraordinary collection where she's at her best. She's as strong as ever, even better. But once again, I think she's making fun of the trends. And one thing that caught my eye is that we saw a lot of lingerie during this season in various forms, banal and intelligent. And Miuccia did it her own way by putting little sheer and see-through negligee on top of suits. She did it at Prada as well. So what do you think about that?
Let's start with Prada and come into Miuccia.
Okay.
I think she is the genius of fashion at this moment. I think she's extraordinary. I'll tell you a little story. This is the Prada one. Because of the fact that I'm all so badly organised, everything, I arrived at the Prada show late. It was very interesting what happened. A colleague of mine was coming out as I was planning to go in, and I said, "Oh, is it over?" And it was as if I'd told her that someone had died. She went, "Oh, you weren't there." I said, "No, but I'll see the second show." And she almost burst into tears on my behalf, and she said, "There isn't a second show." So I went to look at them, the clothes, of something I haven't done for years, and they were amazing.
Yes.
They are couture. There's nothing in Paris, in my opinion, that is more interesting than what she's doing. And what I was thinking afterwards in the car, what is it she has? And it's a strange word to use, but Miuccia Prada is spicy. She adds spice to things that other people do in a pedestrian way. She doesn't always do terribly new things. What she does is she takes the zeitgeist of the moment and makes it extraordinary and amazing. And I love that.
But that's what I love
that's
about
what
her.
a designer should do.
But that's also when I say she makes fun of the trends, because she picks up the trends
Yes.
that everybody else does. But look at the way she does it. I thought when I came out of the Prada show in Milan that I actually saw, because I was on time, and when I saw the Miu Miu one online because I wasn't in Paris, I thought she woke up one morning with all this newness going around and all this new design and said, "Now I show you how it's done." And she actually did it.
Yeah, I don't think she's that involved with other designers. I think she just thought, well,
No. I'm saying metaphorically. Like she woke up and said, "I'm going to show the world how to do it," and she delivered probably two among the best shows of the
because
season.
I do have to say I love her and I love her work, but she's a very dangerous woman. Because all these little designers, and there are more and more of them all the time, who really should not be in charge of fashion houses at all, immediately look at what she's doing and think, how can I rip it off? Yeah. She has never, ever ripped off anybody because she has this spice, this extraordinary imagination, and she doesn't care. She doesn't really care. I'm sure she doesn't bother to read what people say. And great grand ladies who run fashion magazines shouldn't listen to what they're saying either. She is absolutely her own woman.
I totally agree, but do you think that she wouldn't mind if
I don't think she
one of her shows was trashed by one of the greatest?
Don't think she would give a damn.
Yeah, well...
But we don't know.
I like what she does, and I also think that many designers, not only the very young one, but also the more established one, they owe a lot to her, and they...
No, they don't. They owe
in the sense that they subconsciously are her pupils.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. That is why she's dangerous. They try to do a Miuccia Prada, and of course they can't. They can't. And now, of course, all colleges train designers
To be Miu Prada.
by saying, they don't actually say it, but by copying. They have to, because I had lunch the other day with a very clever journalist, not fashion, and he was saying, I don't know how the hell you're still in fashion. Doesn't it drive you mad? I said, no, it interests me enormously. And he made the point that the problem with fashion is everyone goes to a magazine and thinks, oh, I'll copy that. And the real point being this, that designers are the only people who go to college to be trained by people who have failed in the thing they're trying to train them in. You know, if you're lecturing in fashion design in a college, it's because you weren't good enough for your business to continue. Giorgio Armani doesn't become a lecturer at a college, you know?
Yeah, I think I see your point.
So what I'm saying is she's dangerous because she opens a glimpse of paradise. Oh God, if only I could do that. So she's used green, oh, she's got shiny here. And of course that's not the way to do it. She is the sort of person who will subconsciously be thinking all the time, and suddenly, like a painter or a writer, you suddenly know what you have to get down on paper. And she never gives interviews. I did an interview with her, and it was nice, but it didn't say anything about her creativity. And I remembered, after I walked out of that, it was some years ago, I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? And I remembered some critic, and I can't think who it was, who said to Picasso, why did you use that green there in a particular? And Picasso just said, if I knew how to explain it, I wouldn't have to paint it. I wouldn't have to paint it. You know, and it's the same with her. She can't explain this. She's genius is never able to be explained. Anyhow, can we Mutual. Let's go back to Miu
Miu, because I think there is, maybe for not the first time, but more than ever, I saw a very strong link between the two things. And she wouldn't love me to say this because, of course, you know, Miu Miu had this strategy of being taken to a different city. They didn't want it to be the diffusion line, rightly enough, but a line per se. And yet, this time I can feel Miu's hand quite similarly in both, which is not a problem for me. I mean, that was an amazing show. Probably she was heavier on accessories in Miu Miu because accessories
that's what she
are
can
very
sell.
Successful for Miu Miu. But the other thing that I really loved is that these are spring-summer shows, and the king of this show is the coat. And I think it's genius. I mean, she sells this in January, and it's this, you know, seasonless, ageless, genderless season, and fine. I mean, there are boots and coats, right?
Yes, that's what she wanted to do. I mean, she's above and beyond. She's above and beyond. She does what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And unlike many who would have that power, I'm not going to mention any names, she just does what she wants to do. And each time she's thought, isn't this going to be copied everywhere? Every stylist is going to wrap.
Yeah, that ankle bracelet in fabric or leather was quite amazing, I think.
I love the way she deliberately throws out bad taste.
Yeah.
Deliberately, knowing it's bad taste. And you're meant to laugh at it. All the little designers are immediately going, oh, you just put lace on top of tweed. That's what's coming, you know?
Yeah, I think it was her take on lingerie, but she didn't want to send out, not to mention name, 36 looks, white lingerie, you know, one after the other.
She wanted to show, that, didn't we, this time? My God.
She wanted to show fashion, and she did, but also Miu invented the it's so ugly, it's great, you know, in a way. Yeah. I mean, if this is ugly, I'd like to be called ugly, but she pushed the boundaries of, as you say, you know, good taste and mixing in a way that you're like, people that don't understand fashion would say, why does she do that? How can you wear that? And actually, I think it's absolutely superb fashion.
So do I. She's above and beyond. She really is. There is no one quite like her at the moment.
So season after
season. No one with her confidence and her originality.
Season after season, we always say, thank God for Miu.
Yes, I always say it.
She comes up stronger and stronger. So
you know, there was a novel written by, I can't remember what his name was, a man who wrote a lot about New York and the underbelly of New York. And he wrote a book which was called Dames Don't Care. She's a dame who doesn't care because she doesn't have to.
Do you think she's unique in that?
Yes, I do.
There's
I think she's
not
got
many
a
other that
cast
don't care.
iron. She comes out all sweetly and everything. I think she's got a cast iron assurance.
But she knows how good she is, right? She
Of
knows.
course. How could she not? How
It
could
is
she
really
not?
good. I mean, we could be in silence and look at this for hours.
Oh yes,
It's amazing.
absolutely, absolutely, and discover some. The Prada, what I thought was extraordinary with Prada, it was couture quality. The materials she used, is quite apart from the cut and everything, was amazing.
The sequins, the coats at the end were just incredible.
Yes, incredible.
But here there is a lot of, I mean, first of all, incredible accessories, but a lot of beautiful leather and
Yes, it's very coherent.
beautiful.
It's a proper.
It's quite
a proper
heavy.
collection.
Another thing that I heavy in a good way, but another thing that I noticed is that the whole season was very light, was very silk and lingerie, as we
Floaty,
said.
yes.
And she comes out with heavy tweed and
Yes.
these coats and suits that are the opposite of
Yes.
that.
Gravitas.
Gravitas, exactly.
Let's go to that sad week called Paris Fashion Week.
Okay, why was that
Shall
sad?
we? I
Tell
just
me.
thought it was particularly uninspired this season. But I would like us, if we can get the pictures, I would like us to talk about Margiela.
Yes, I
Because
think
I thought Margiela was really, really interesting.
what I'm interested to say, and I want your take on this, is that I think that John Galliano for Margiela and Nicolas Ghesquiere for Louis Vuitton finally came out strong in what they are and what they can do. They've been a little bit subdued at the beginning, and both at the beginning and at the end of the season, of the week, they came out and showed what they can do and did it superbly.
Well, I think you're possibly wrong about John.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think that he is still working with great tact to bring together two completely different aesthetics. And I think he's getting it right.
He's succeeding
And
for sure.
And I don't know what the next stage will be, but I feel we're seeing, it's like reading half a chapter of a book. I think we do not as yet have a complete statement from him. And I think when he does give us that statement, I have no doubt he will, then we will all be confounded, because someone who looked as if he could only do huge ball dresses is going to show that actually he is a proper designer.
Oh, yes.
And a real
He's a real
creator.
designer. Yes.
A real creator.
It's like a great singer can sing anything.
And I thought this was just breathtakingly beautiful.
It was very beautiful, and it was very interesting in the fact that he managed to show how to do the deconstruct and reconstruct and make it fresher and more modern, because there's a lot of influence of the Galliano that we've known here, but in a fresher way. I think he's happy. I think he's
I hope he is. I don't
happy
know. But I think that, fire is a great purifier. And I think he's been through fire. And I think he's coming out the other end. It's like steel, it has to be tensed and made. And I think he's coming back strong. And as they say on Broadway, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's all coming. I'm convinced of that.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, because
we're going to need it.
this is an incredible forward. My only problem, if it's all coming, as you say, is that I hope he will keep it in the... I don't know if I wanted him to keep it in the Margiela frame, but it's still Margiela and not Dior or Galliano. So he did it incredibly well here. This was just perfection. It was just the balance of the two.
But a real creator his creativity can't be bound in that way, because they're not in charge of their creativity in many cases. He will be let, let's think of an example. I don't think, for example, that Chagall woke up one morning and thought, oh, I'm going to put people up in the sky, a donkey and a man up in the sky for my next painting. What happened was, as he was painting, he realized that was the only place where they should be, and I really believe this about creativity. It's not something you do a little diagram of and then think, right, that's it. And that's why I think it must be agony to be the sort of creator creator that John is. Because John's quite a vulnerable person, I think. Other people say he's very strong, I don't know, but he puts himself on the line without, I think, the assurance of Miuccia. Remember, Miuccia is her own boss. This man always has someone. He's got, he's a hired hand, and always has.
I know.
You know, as many of them are at Balenciaga and all many other things.
All of them, most of them.
And that makes a difference.
I'm interested in what you said about the donkey and the people floating in the sky of a Chagall painting. So, how do we link that to what John did here? Like, of course, not rationally said, okay, now I'm going to put more of Galliano into what I think Margiela should be. But how does it happen? Like, do you think it's a natural evolution?
Who knows? I don't think he knows.
He doesn't even know.
You know, another example, Magritte. He paints a lovely fireplace,
and
then he puts a train coming out of it.
Yeah.
Now, there are all sorts of erotic undertones in that, obviously. But I don't think he woke up in the morning and thought, well, as he went down to the studio, he had his first cigarette and black coffee. He thought, right, I'll have a train coming out of a fireplace. I don't think creativity...
Maybe he had a dream that night. You know,
maybe.
Here, I mean, we can see this show had several inspirations. One strong was Japan, his take on the kimono, on the classic Japanese, but there were others, it starts in a very different way.
Yes.
And we had a lot of accessories appearing that probably are a request from the business, but I've got nothing against accessories, but Galliano to put bags on the back, I mean, it was a little bit weird, but they're beautiful bags, so,
of course.
Good for him. So there are many inspirations, and I think, like the painters, they see images, they watch TV, they travel, and they have so much in their brain, and they have to take it out somehow.
I mean, several people made the point that you've made to me. They said, bags from John.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's not couture.
Why not?
This is ready to wear. Women do carry bags. Whether they carry them on their back or in their hand, it doesn't matter. They've got to have bags.
Yeah.
Every other major label has given in to the bag cult, because that's where you make the money, so why shouldn't they?
I mean, you see the ads, they show the bag in front of their face.
Exactly.
There's one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a memory of many years ago when I was younger, and someone told me, Galliano is the master, and the proof is that he was the first to put fishnet on a catwalk. I think it was couture. And then the next season, fishnet became the fashion of the moment. And here, he put fishnet stocking. So it's as if he was quoting that.
I don't think he was the first to put fish.
I remember someone telling me this many years ago. But
I think it probably was in the 30s, I would think.
No, sorry. Yeah,
you mean now?
Modern
certainly.
Modern days fashion,
yes. Yeah.
I wasn't there in the 30s, so
neither was I.
So we couldn't
believe
have
it or
witnessed
not.
it. I do believe it.
Okay, let's look at something else.
Let's look at something else. I would like to look at Louis Vuitton by Nicolas Ghesquiere, because I think it's his best show to this day. I think there are a lot of memories of what he has been and what he has done so far, and he did it really beautifully. So I'm sure you will like it less, because it's less what you are, but I think he's a great designer, and he showed it here.
I think he's a very good designer, and I think he is very much better than he was. But I think that's...
You mean at Vuitton as opposed as at Balenciaga?
Exactly. I think one of his problems, and maybe as well with someone like Tichy, are the French press. They fall in love with these boys, and they treat them in the most ridiculous way, and their heads get huge, and you can't... Creators do not have big heads.
I don't know Riccardo personally, but I know Nicolas, and he doesn't have a big head. I promise you.
I'm not saying as a personality, I'm saying as
a designer.
And I think that this shows he's beginning to realise that you've got to do it a little more seriously. I think he started in a shy and respectful way, and to take over, even if you're Nicolas Ghesquiere, to take over at Louis Vuitton, the biggest brand in the world, where I tell you, I worked there for a year. I mean, you are directed a lot from left and right and high and whatever, even lower. There have people everywhere that tell you what to do. Not easy.
I think it shows here, because if you look closer at the details, the material, the choices of embroidered, the things here, they show that he has a lot of financial means that he didn't have at Balenciaga,
Well,
and probably more freedom. And
yes.
I think at Balenciaga someone is biting their nails very
Do you
hard.
reckon? Maybe, yeah.
Look at what he's doing, and you know,
The future's
He
not
could have still
good.
been there.
The future is not good. Doesn't look good. We mustn't prejudge. But I think,
well, no, we must prejudge, but they are in trouble because.
I think so.
And also,
but we mustn't say this. Can I just tell you something? that's
yes,
happened to
you
me?
can tell me what you want.
I was in Paris.
Sorry, but that pair of trousers in the middle with blue and green and beige.
Yeah.
are
I was
amazing.
in Paris and I had a little note from an English PR about one of the Paris fashion houses who said, we would like to send you a book, it was. We would like to send you a book, but you must stop saying nasty things about our designer on SHOWstudio.
Ooh,
She was
so
so
we're
stupid.
watched.
She put it in writing. You know?
We can't mention names, unfortunately,
We
but
cannot
that
mention
person
names, no.
deserves
But
to
I
be
mean,
mentioned.
But this is the problem, you see. The only person who's allowed to make any comments now is Anna Wintour. She's the one who they follow. If Anna Wintour says, oh, you should have someone
But she doesn't make it publicly. She
who
doesn't
was,
go on
who was
live camera.
shearing sheep last week but is a genius, they'll do it. It's not her money, it's
Colin,
their
you're
money.
putting us in trouble now.
No, I'm not, am I? No, I'm not being
No,
unkind.
I love
but,
you for this,
You know,
but,
journalists are meant to comment, not to create.
And to critic with, I
Yes.
think, I mean, I was in trouble recently for a panel. I thought I was giving constructive advice to someone, and it got back to me as a boomerang. So, but you know, we continue saying what we think, and what we think right. And I think that Nicolas Ghesquiere is probably one of the best designers.
I think
at
he's
the moment.
one of the most talented. I think
Yeah.
he's got to be delicately handled, though. As I feel with Tisci as well. Well, I think that... See, Mark was allowed to do anything. I'm sure there were no restrictions at all on Mark as long as the bag sold.
Yes.
That was the only thing that mattered. I think I may have said on one of our other sessions here, he told me once, I said, what happens after the show? He said, well, I'm exhausted. I sleep for about 4 days. And I said, on the 5th day, he said, I get a phone call from Monsieur Arnaud, who says, would you like to come in? I want to know what the bag is for next season. Not, what is your line going to be?
Oh, darling, I
What
was there
the
for a
bag.
year.
So
you know that for
know.
1 year I
So
worked
you
with
know.
Mark, and
So you know.
and I had the phone call
Now
from
that's a
Avenue
very...
Montaigne saying how many bags are there in the ad campaign. Said that, I think that Nicolas did a very good job with the bags here, because I was surprised on how it took the main lines of the house, like the cuir épis and another one that I don't, oh yeah, the monogram on the little trunk, and turn it around and did what Mark did exactly 15 years ago with the Murakami monogram. He did the same. So they're very good at playing with the codes of the house and using them. But Nicolas used them a lot in the clothes here. And I can tell you, these clothes are going to be seen around and sell, while Mark's clothes were a little bit more difficult.
Well, it's very interesting, really, because in a way, they should be able to produce the most marvelous things because they've got all the money in the world.
All the means they want.
But in fact, it sometimes is very good to have only a limited amount of money, because then you have to
Agree.
think a little harder, you know? I'm worried about young designers. I really am getting worried about them, because there are some very strange claims being made on their behalf. I'm not just thinking of Paris, I'm thinking particularly of England as well, and maybe New York. I'm not going to mention any names, but there are people being treated seriously who should not be treated seriously if the fashion world were really in order.
So do you think that there are too much praised young designer that will not go anywhere?
Yes.
Or,
Absolutely.
well, I can guess who you think about, but maybe we won't.
No,
we won't
I
mention them.
don't think it's
But-
fair with
But
the
that
young
brings me
ones.
to ask you, what did you think about the Loewe show by our friend J.W. Anderson?
Well, J.W. Anderson...
Sorry, I forgot to ask you too.
J.W.
Upload
Anderson,
Loewe.
doesn't matter. J.W. Anderson, to me,
Sorry.
can do no wrong.
I know you like him.
I think he's got that little spark, that spice that Miu has. Only embryonically at this stage, but he might develop into someone very special.
Is he a great designer like Miu, or is a great
Too early to
creative?
say. Too early to say. But can we look at Com?
Or you don't want to look at all at Loewe that we have?
Well, if you like, but then Com was on just a second
Yeah,
ago.
we're going to put it on. But
Can we do Com
just
first?
one thing I want to say. Okay, let's go to Com. It's okay.
No.
So
Let's just flick
you have
through
to
this
help me
and
here
enjoy
because
it.
this is incredible fashion as far as skills and creativity and the take on things. Apparently, you have to see them from the back because it's full of humor and etc. But what's the relevance? Help me understand.
I think
What's
it's
the
quite
relevance of
complicated to work out exactly what the immediate relevance is. What she's doing is what John Galliano used to do at Dior. Give us things where people used to come and say, well, there's nothing there that's wearable. But then people like magpies coming in, they pluck at the feathers of what these people are doing and begin to take little bits.
But I think that John was more wearable than this, wasn't it?
Oh, not always.
No, not always, but
Not always. But you see, she's a bit like Miu.
this is theatre.
Strong women. This is theatre. Yes, I agree. But the
Extraordinary
the
theatre,
link
but
between
still-
theatre and high fashion.
It's
You see, these sort of things, they should be shown in couture. They shouldn't be shown in. It just confuses all those funny little students.
yeah, but so
you
that's
know.
why I'm asking you. We're talking about ready-to-wear season in Paris, and I mean everybody was praising it, and I really took time to look at every look. And
Oh,
it's,
how could you not
it's
praise it?
rather
It's so
amazing.
bold. It's so bold.
It's bold and
It's
amazing.
so extraordinary. It so transcends all the prissy middle-class ideas of taste. That red hair, the violent blues and purples and everything. It's the epitome of bad taste. And she's saying something very important.
And yet-
what she's saying is sales have made all but the boldest into timid little designers. I mean, we won't go into some of the clothes we saw in London, or indeed with some of the younger designers in Paris, because they were a disgrace. There's no point in taking us there
But
to
that's a
to
very
waste
good
our
point,
time.
because in the same season, in the same city, in the same year, you've got this next to some of those people that we don't want to mention, and which is not very good that we don't mention them, because actually we're here to mention. But I mean, but even things that we loved, like I know you will not like this, but I liked the Vêtements show for what
I didn't see it.
for
I
what
didn't
it
see
is
it.
today, for how it talks about fashion today in the street. And then you put it next to that and you're like, how can we be in the same city, in the same season, in the same year? And yet, maybe both have a relevance to the future.
How is he going to take
To Balenciaga?
this banality into the new situation?
I don't know. It's a tricky question. It's a good one. It's a good one, and I don't know. I can't be
can't see it.
completely negative because, as you say, let's give it a try. I just know that they can't get it wrong twice
No.
at the Balenciaga at Kering.
Yeah, I just think that they should have talent spotters. There must talent scouts. There must be people working in fashion, maybe with Miu or whoever, who would be a better choice to take on a major fashion house than the choice they've made here.
But I like to think that they're at the opposite, because Monsieur Balenciaga himself was the top of the snobbish of fashion. It's not for everybody. It's it's this
But
cocoon.
that was a very different time.
Yeah, but they're doing. It's not even in the middle. They're doing, this democratic fashion that doesn't even have a brand name, and it's for everybody. Well, not really for everybody, because their jeans, they're about £1,000, euros. But they position themselves in that way. So it's. I don't know. I honestly don't know. He comes from the Margiela school.
Yes,
He has worked a lot with Margiela, so he knows about constructing and deconstructing.
Yes.
He was the head of studio when Margiela didn't have John, and they were
Yeah.
presenting the studio collection.
It's true.
I think he's a good designer.
You
He
may be
has
right.
very good ideas.
You may be right.
He can turn
You may be
Balenciaga
right.
around, but you know,
The other night, my dog woke me up by barking, and I couldn't go back to sleep. Right?
okay.
I had to go down and make sure that no one was breaking in, but it was just a cat or something. I don't know. She was very neurotic.
You were in the
She
couch.
barks all the time. And I lay in bed and I thought, why do we have so many different, not so many fashion shows, although of course that's a ridiculous situation now, it's out of hand completely. Why do we have so many genres? Do we need high priced ready to wear, or do we need them to be all put on the chopping block and say, right, put your hand in the fire and produce couture and cruise? Because couture is where all the ideas should be coming, and there aren't enough ideas from couture. And cruise is what people buy, what people can afford.
Yeah, but it's not that cheap either. I mean, cheap is
No,
not the
no
word,
designer
not
is, but,
accessible. Yeah.
but I just think this is an area, when we were talking about a moment ago about Comedy Castle, this is an area where people don't really know what to do. Do they do a Comedy Castle John Galliano sort of extravaganza, or do they do things
this.
which can be stripped down a little and sold? You know, they don't know, so get rid of it. I mean, we spend far too much time sitting in shows, and you think,
Well, it's still what creates the image, but then it's true that, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that, but the other day I went to a store in London. I really wanted to buy that Prada pink suit from last season.
but you bought it, didn't you?
Well, I didn't find it in the wholesaler. I went to Prada Bond Street, and they say, oh, no, I mean, no, it's sold out everywhere. And I said, oh, it's a pity. Are you sure I can't find it anywhere? No, but you can order it, and it will take 2 months, and it will cost you 20% on top of the price. So I said, this is collection. It's not. I'm not coming in and asking it in gold. And he said, well, you know, it's so rare that now it's special order. So I didn't buy it out of principle. First of all, it's not cheap already. Just
Can you
as
tell
a
me
start.
what it was? How much it would have cost?
I think the trousers were £700 plus 20%.
That's not expensive nowadays.
No, but I mean, why do I have to make it a special order when
Because
it
it's
was
to your size,
the
so it's
collection?
demi-couture.
No, because they didn't produce it. And it was in the show. It's
Right.
the actual collection that
Yeah.
is supposed to be selling now, but they didn't produce it in pink because probably I'm the only one who wants to wear a pink suit. But
Well, I wouldn't think so. It was a good pink.
anyway, we have
All
to
right,
wrap up.
let's see some. Oh, do we have to
do,
stop?
do we have a last word? You know,
The
we
last
half
word
an
is,
hour.
despite all the viciousness that has come out of my mouth this evening,
No, you were pretty good. You were not too vicious.
I still love it. I still get excited at the shows, and I still think they're very important culturally. But I think we should try a little harder. That's what I feel.
Thank you.